Hello, everybody. Welcome to Yapkosota, the podcast where we break down the meta, the drama, and the history of Roblox Girls and Panzer community. I'm your host, Fam, and today we have our first guest, Yoko.
Hello, hello.
How are you today?
Uh, Doing great. A bit sick, but make do.
Yeah, I hope you'll get better soon. But since you're the first guest here, I'm just gonna explain to everyone how the future episodes will work. Basically, I have a list of questions that I will ask every one of my guests, and you will have to answer them. So, I'm gonna get on to our first question. Shall we get started?
Yep.
So, just in case these people don't know you, how would you introduce yourself?
Uh, well, First of all, I would tell them my name, which is Yoko. Obviously, you said that before already, but some people might not know who I am. But yeah. Uh, then I'll also explain like what am I in the community? I'm a chat mod. I'm the commander of Vegan, vice commander of BCF. And that is all people kind of need to know. Maybe you bring up the past, but the past is a past, and we focus on the present and the future.
Okay, I see, I see. Any fun facts about yourself you'd like to share?
When I was a student in Yakko, I used to be one of the worst players in the community. That's about it.
I remember those times. Good old times, huh?
Good old times.
Well, speaking of when you were really new, how did you find this community? And why Yatkosota?
Uh, it's a story I have brought up a lot of times. Before I joined the community, or even played Girls in Panzer like all together, I used to be in a community called MTC, Multi Crew Tank Combat, and that's where kind of found my way into like GuP. They used to have their own like GuP scene. Uh, it was toxic, so kind of left that after I joined this community. But a friend of mine introduced the community to me. Uh, Naturally, I was gonna join Kuro because my faction in MTC was Kuro. So yeah, after I joined the community, we had this mock battle between BCF and the guys that my friend brought into the community. We lost, but it was kind of fun. It wasn't snowy too. Uh, I joined Yatko because obviously my name is Yoko, and Yoko is one of the characters in the community in the fandom as a whole. The stug user operator in the anime.
Yeah, but you never really got to use the stug, did you?
Oh, not at all. I'm not a fan of the case mates. We
Yeah,
used to have two stugs back in the day, actually.
we did. Since you became the CEO and retired, you joined BCF afterwards and became the vice commander even. Well, what are the differences between, Yatkosura and BCF?
Well, uh, one of the biggest differences is first of all, uh, the culture. Culture is very, very different in BCF compared to Yatko. At least back when I was in Yatko, Yatko was a very competitive school. We try to find every single like possible way to get one up over the other schools, right? In BCF, it's more laid back. You have to be there to experience. You have to be both in the schools to kind of see what I'm talking about. But once you'll be in both schools, experience both, you'll see the difference. Another one is that BCF is a main force school, which they focus on playing together as one big force. Maybe have some like flankers like the AMR and the Sherman, but not too much compared to Yatko, which is a lot more independent, more flexible. You know,
Yeah,
kind of can move through everywhere.
you mentioned, right, back when you joined Yatkosura, it was very competitive. What would you say is the main difference between the average player's mindset today and back when you joined 2 years ago?
I think that back then, at least 2 years ago when I joined, not really much has changed. At least in my opinion. But the biggest difference that changed was that the mindset of the players has changed, right? We have gone from people who uh we have gone from people who do not give up, right? After the little most inconvenience, right? To people just leaving today, maybe maybe they'll lose a match, they'll just leave completely, or maybe they'll do bad in their training, they'll just go inactive. Kinda the mindset today, which is why a lot of schools today have a lot more inactive people. Most of them people who had a lot of potential, but they just didn't believe in themselves, and they just kind of faded away from the community. But
Yeah.
that's all from the thing.
Uh,
Yeah,
what I've said before, well, not on the podcast, but in general, is that nowadays people don't have the attention span or the amount of effort, the same amount of effort as people did back then. Because, well, for one,
yeah,
COVID happened and everyone was at home. People are a lot more busy
oh yeah,
nowadays. But still, it's just people aren't willing to put as much effort anymore in a single community, which I understand. I'm only doing all of this because I've already spent so many years in here. It's kind of a sunk cost fallacy at this point.
yeah.
It is what it is. But back in my day, there was a lot of espionage, spying, and a whole lot of server politics and drama, right? But I think
Oh
that
yeah.
nowadays it's more prominent than ever. So, in your opinion, do you think it elevates the experience in some way, or does it just create unnecessary toxicity?
Um, I think it adds flavor. I think that without all these things, it would just be a flavorless, boring community. It has its own like flair to it. Um, Whether it's good or bad can vary for people. My opinion is the middle. Um, I think people nowadays just get very hyper defensive over people joining to watch trainings. There's a lot of people in the community who do that a lot of times. Uh, but that's how every competitive scene has been, right? Not just GuP, even like football, for example. People look how the other teams play and then adapt to how they have to respond to that, right? Even in the anime, right? You have Yukari spying on Saunders, uh, then kind of explaining the plan, right? They end up catching her, right? It didn't really help much though. Even against BCF in the movie, uh, BCF managed to quote unquote fool Yukari into believing that BCF was divided, right? But during the match, it was the complete opposite. Spoilers.
Spoilers for
Uh,
a how many year
for
old
those who
movie?
watch, like a 6-year-old,
Yeah, 6 year old movie, guys. Spoilers. Sorry.
It would be dumb for me to say that I didn't get personally defensive about it, right? Back then when I was commander of Yakko, I was really mad that people would spy on my training. So that was because I was really like inexperienced, if you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, it's more like
But
embarrassing
nowadays,
for
kind
you.
of, yeah, it's nowadays kind of like it happened. Okay, move on, right? And just cannot really do much about it. They have the right to watch.
Yeah. Mostly I agree, right? But I also feel as if sometimes there is a line that you shouldn't cross.
Oh yeah, I agree. Some schools tend to cross that line. I
Yeah.
think that the right way to do it is just to sit silent, not do anything, right? Maybe other ways, but it's kind of what I believe. Now politics is definitely something I really do not like. Um, I'm not gonna go too deep into this one because it has layers. This has layers to it,
It's deep.
a lot of layers. It's deep. I'm just gonna say that factionalism is a very big thing here. That's about it for me
Oh,
regarding that question.
speaking of which, if you had a power to instantly change any fundamental aspect of this community's culture today, what would you fix? Would it be the factionalism?
Uh, Something different. I think it kind of keeps the community held back, in my opinion. It's how conservative the people are in this community. They're very like critical to change. Uh,
Yeah.
no matter what happens in the community, people just kind of fight back against it. You know, we have seen, by the way, recently just now, right? People were trying to animate track animation, right? But people just didn't like it. Now, whether it's a good thing, we don't know. We have not tried it yet, even not in like a public event. But in my opinion, that the way people look at it is really wrong, and if we just keep on just holding back on things, it'll just make the game very stale. I think this is why it also contributes to like the inactivity in the community as well.
It gets boring after a while. Yeah,
Yeah,
I would be lying if I wasn't kind of part of these people. I was a very big guy against like adding armor or suspension and stuff like that. But that's because it has been tested before, and it just doesn't work that well, especially when you have schools like Anzio and Bompo who don't have really
yeah,
good, oh, quote
much
unquote, good
armor.
tanks, right? So then
Yeah,
the schools like Kuro, where most of them is just super heavy tanks, they're pretty much unstoppable at that point. And
yeah,
as for suspension, it's just Roblox physics.
whack. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think for the community to implement suspension armor, we need to overhaul like the entire game itself, maps, you know,
exactly.
just allow for more flanking ability, right? Like maps like Pier and City are not the biggest, quote unquote, for that kind of play style, right? Uh, but yeah, things that were proven and not considered great. Yeah, I understand that, right? I'm also in the camp of not liking armor and suspension, but things like cosmetic change, like tracks, things that add quote unquote flavor to the base thing. I'm not a big fan of changing how the game works fully, right? But things like new maps, like quality of life changes, I like that a lot.
Yeah, I remember when Casemates first got added the little aiming circle thingy. It was like so divided. Half the people didn't like
Oh
it. Half the
wow,
people liked it. It was crazy.
yeah. I'm not a fan of it though. It's messes up my aim with the casemates.
And I'm like iffy about it. I never was into Casemates in the first place, but I think it's a pretty okay addition. It helps out at least people who want to get into Casemates, since the nature of Casemates is that they don't have a turret, right? And it's really hard to see where your gun is aiming most of the time.
Yeah.
So it helps, especially for the newer players. And I don't mind lowering the bar of entry, as one would say, that much. It bothers me a lot if it
Yeah.
it would lower the skill ceiling, but if it lowers the bar of entry, I'm all for it. I want more new players in this
Yeah.
community. Let's go on to our last question. So
Yep.
you've been around. You've been the commander of Jatkosota. You're the vice commander of BCF. What is the one piece of advice you'd give to a brand new player who is just now discovering the community and wants to eventually become an officer, vice commander, or commander?
Uh don't give up. A lot of as I said earlier, people give up very very easily, right? Maybe it's the environment of the school that's not the greatest, right? But if you love the school itself, right? And you want to become better and you want to someday lead the school, don't give up. Just keep on moving. My opinion, joins other schools trainings just for the sake of it, just to get better. Then like import the knowledge you've learned from the other school into your own school. Uh, but yeah, I think that this goes back to the to the past thing of how the players are now. Is that people just kind of move to better schools for better opportunities, which I don't blame them. But if you want to actually make your school out better, stay there, right? Make it become the reason why the school is better.
Become a part of its
That's it.
history.
Become part of the history. That's what what it was with Yakko actually. After the tourney, everybody left. I kind of stay there. I didn't leave. I was gonna leave for Bumple, but Decided to stay.
And oh, it all ended up okay. We're not counting Pansy. Bye bye, Pansy. We love you.
We love you, Pansy.
Well, do you have any questions for me as your host?
How was your experience so far? As the commander, the new commander, quote unquote.
Ah, I kind of
Like,
discussed this on the first episode a little bit, but in general, it was pretty rough at the start. A bit rocky. All of the Asia guys kind of left, but otherwise, I think it's going pretty good. I got a few new good students, and I'm happy about it.
that's great. That's great. Do you have any plans for Yakko in the upcoming tournament? Like, do you plan on getting a really high spot or winning?
Of course, I'm planning to win. There's no other option. Never
No
give
other
up. You said it
option.
yourself.
The 2-year prophecy, bro.
The prophecy every 2 years in the summer. It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Mark my
Hey man,
words.
good luck to you.
Thank you. Well, I guess that's it.
Yep.
Thank you to Yoko for coming on to Yapkosota.
Thank you. You're welcome.
If you guys want to get involved in the community or check out the factions we talked about today, check the links in the description. Make sure to subscribe so that you don't miss the next Yapko cast. See you there. Bye bye.
Bye bye.